All is not well in the state of Denmark. Okay. In the domain of coaching, now this is not just going to be for coaches. If you are in a place or position of uncertainty or overwhelm or not sure what next steps to take, this is for you too, but I'm going to be hitting this from a unique angle, which is if you are a coach working with somebody who doesn't know what they want or taking their next steps, this video is for you. Had to launch with a bit of Shakespeare because there is kind of a boogeyman in the domain of coaching, which is most coaches, want to be active and have work and support their clients, but there are a lot of people that hire a coach because they don't know what to do next. They don't have that clarity. They could come up with a lot of things maybe they don't want, but in terms of what they do want, not so easy to identify. And maybe they felt a lack of motivation or ability to mobilize action towards something. Now, the all is not well comment is because this is not a category of people that need a coach necessarily. It's a very difficult place to work with, and it usually devolves, a coaching relationship will usually devolve into soft counseling, life coaching. What do you feel like? What do you want? Let's dissect this a little bit, but it often goes nowhere and doesn't lead to a point of true conviction. These relationships usually wind up just dissolving over time, and then both people move on. But we do have a solution. To get into this solution, I'm going to need to tell you a little bit of backstory about why it matters and how this came to be, because this is truly a homegrown coaching methodology and process within the Prestige, but it's something that I've been living with, writing about, how long now? Almost 15 years. Came about in my early days in Shanghai. One of my close relationships and good friends challenged me to roll the dice for random things at one point. Turns out that years before he had read the book The Dice Man, or about a psychologist who realized that identity was heavily correlated with action and choice, and the way to breach identity constraints was to just do new things and try new things. Now the challenge is, if you're doing things that stem from what the identity or what your compulsions would tell you, you've got a very narrow range of options. So this would be a practice of ideating, placing random ideas and things on the die, rolling for them, and then having to take action immediately. No matter what the die tells you, you have to do. So in the beginning, these are coming from the same identity that tells you to brush your teeth and what to eat in the morning and who you need to say hello to and who you need to hate. But eventually those things start unraveling because you're realizing that you could do many things and choose many things and be many people. And then eventually you wind up in a realm of open space. I could be anybody. So he introduced me to this premise, and for a number of months we started dice rolling on Fridays. And at first it was stupid. We rolled for random things that came into the mind and then we had to execute them. And it was more of a novelty and a curiosity. And we pretty quickly realized a lot of this stuff is stupid and we didn't get anything from it. And we're doing random things, sure, and it's funny to talk about and great stories to tell. But if we actually care about driving our lives, and I was a performance coach and he was a financier, and so we had, life stuff to worry about, and directing this was important. So we started to create constraints, say, well, how do we make this maybe more productive? We want to keep doing it. It increases novelty. It keeps us flexible and motivated and curious to try new things. And so this evolved into an actual process that we wound up applying almost every Friday night for about 5 years, and it became a religious practice for us. We'd come, we'd have a few not a few burgers, have a burger, have a few beers, and on Friday nights we would roll the dice for life objectives. The first thing that came up was meaningful filters. This particular video, the first in the series of 4 here, is called the filter for this reason. Link in the description, and we have created a document for you that you can use to do everything that I'm going to be talking about in this entire process, all 4 videos. It's free, download it, it's awesome. If you don't know what your next step is, just download the filter. We do it for you, it's awesome. But I'm going to be taking you through the first steps of it in this video, which is we need meaningful categories, first of all. Second of all, we need meaningful objectives within each category. And third, we need to find a way of filtering those objectives. So this is how the process of dicing began to develop for us, from something that was random and maybe incoherent, but really exciting and really novel, into a directional tool that gave us the ability to resource from within, from what we already know, into a point of momentum and action taking. Didn't need a coach. We wound up, effectively, we wound up coaching ourselves because we would filter. Somebody would say, I'm thinking about putting this on the dice. And the other one would say, that's dog shit, not strong enough, who cares? And so we wound up filtering these things organically. But the amazing insight was this: we didn't have to know. It was the process of randomizing options, placing them on the dice, rolling for them, and then executing them that generated the focus and the momentum and the clarity of vision. This was extraordinary. Michael built his first 7-figure business this way. I finished my soft weapons curriculum in the course of a week, rolling for what we put in the awesome category, something we don't think we can achieve, or it would take 10 years to do. Could we do it in 1 week? That would be awesome. And over the course of several years, my first book was written this way as well, in fact. Through consecutive, accidental, random dice rolls, I completed In Pursuit of Weightlessness in 4.5 months. Now, it took longer to edit and finalize, but the rough draft, boom, done. Something that I thought would take me many years. So when I say this is a powerful tool, it is a powerful tool. And now, this is something that we actively use, not with everybody, but we use it with players within the Prestige, our Applied Somatics Academy, especially if they are already in a program. Normally we vet for this ahead of time. What do you want? Can we help you get there? Okay, this can be an incredible synergy. And Lindsay and I work together with people in a cohort, trifecta, to get incredible results. But occasionally, we get somebody that's all in, signs up, and then realizes within the first 2 weeks, I wasn't as sure about this as I thought I was. Now, maybe I don't know what to do next. Okay, not a great situation, but we do have the tool for this. Let's roll the dice. But before we do, we need to filter. The filtering process is critical, and this is not just something unique to the dicing process that we use and coach. This is something that ought to be taking place if you have a coach, or if you are trying to progress something meaningful for yourself, and you're not doing this, if you're not filtering your options and then generating action from those on a weekly basis, you aren't in the game. And sadly, a lot of coaches will approach coaching without something that filters meaningful options and then lacks a call to action. So you wind up just talking about things, talking about meaning, not really doing anything. Now I'm going to talk in the next video more about the incredible impact that mobilizing action does and how momentum towards specific things can be generated from nothing just by taking action. That's extraordinary. But at this first step, you got to filter meaning from non-meaning. This is harder than it should be for a lot of people because, there's a lot of things that sound cool, but then there's also the things that I think matter, like my family and my fitness, but then there's the idea, I want to write a book and I want to do this other thing. And because of this, it's not that you don't have inspiration, it's that you've got too much usually. Okay, so where do we go from here? The first step of filtering is categorization. This is a critical step. Now, my buddy Michael and I, we had categories that meant something. We generally rotated between 6, at most 8 categories that we predefined. These were categories that were life-giving and meaningful. And we said, okay, well, look, if we don't address these things on a regular basis, we're not really in the game. Some of the key categories were health and fitness, or what we call mind-body perhaps, career, passion, which may or may not have been the same thing as career. You may have had a hobby like me, practicing the sash or the rope dart. My career would have been business oriented and coaching. And maybe I needed within that to have a focus on, maybe I need more clients, or maybe I need to cultivate a new methodology. It could be anything within that category. Michael on occasion would put philanthropy because he was rolling in the dough from time to time. We'd have family as a category. We'd have the category awesome, which could be any of these, but the premise is this. it has to be something you don't think you could achieve in 1 week, something that you imagine would take 5 or 10 years perhaps, but you have to go all in for 1 week to see what happens. Many times we surprised ourselves and actually did it. Michael told the story once where he'd be out playing basketball with his brother as the younger brother. And he said, you'd go play ball and you'd ask him to play with you and you couldn't beat him. But just the idea that, maybe today would be different. He's like, well, if you do, that's awesome, right? It's just this idea of the impossible, but you got to go for it because this is what life is about. Why not try? And usually you advance that thing so much in 1 week, even if you don't achieve it, that it winds up becoming a realistic category in 1/10 of the time. Maybe not a week, but maybe a few months. Other categories might be friendships or novelty. Maybe I just need to introduce something that I have an idea of. Maybe it's not going to be a thing that I do, but you know what? I'm not a dancer. Maybe I should just take a dance lesson. Maybe I should do something that is so not me to experience what the other side is experiencing. So these are some of the ideal categories. Now, yours could be different, but the premise is this: they need to be at least 4, ideally 6 categories, and each one of these things needs to be something that you can point at and say, you know what? That fundamentally matters to me in life. It makes my life better when that thing is in a good place. Okay, good. We have our categories. Things that don't fall into these categories don't get a roll on the die. So this is our first point of a filter. Now, if you're doing this alone at home and you don't have a coach for this, you write down 6 categories. Again, this stuff is all spelled out and gives you the space to do it. You can actually use the document that we have in the description. Just download it. You can fill this in for yourself. It's what it was built for. Super easy to follow along, and it will filter these things with and for you. But let's say we have our filters now. Okay, I've got a week ahead of me. Not a month, not a lifetime decision, not something I have to commit to. I just need to take a meaningful action towards something that matters this week. See where we're going, okay? It's a different way of orienting. So let's take a couple of these categories. Without giving away her name, I'm working with a stellar gal and a high performer within the community on this very method right now. And for example, like the categories that she's focused on are family is one, business is another, and expression/passion is a third. Each of these got a roll on the die. Why? Well, because they're the most interesting this week, so why not think about them? And then within each one, identifying, okay, maybe I should spend more intentional time with this person, maybe 20 minutes a day. Okay, that goes into the family category. For the business category, okay, I'm still in the early stages of reorienting my business. I've got things to be concerned with. There are branding considerations. There's setting up of an event. There's client outreach and communicating what I do to the right people. Okay, these are all great ideas. We need to pick one of these things as a focal point. And then the third, maybe a point of expression, maybe playing a concert, doing something like this. Okay, so you already know what kind of matters. But within each one, is it actionable? Can we measure it? That's always helpful. Not everything can. We tend to put these things in 2 categories. One, are we taking a meaningful commitment to process? Maybe I don't know the outcome, but for the next week, maybe I'm going into an austere diet, for example, and maybe for the next 7 days, I'm going to have 1,000-calorie restriction, or maybe I'm going to work out daily to try to establish a new pattern and create space in my calendar. That's a process orientation. It's not outcome oriented. The other one might be, well, maybe I need to have key and clear deliverables. The process might take me 5 minutes, or it might take me 2 hours a day because I haven't done it before, but I need to deliver this thing. So maybe I have to deliver 10 talking head videos within 7 days. Each one of them expresses a different part of what I see my business as about. It needs to speak to somebody that could clearly be a beneficiary or benefit by my work. And those things need to come within the same video. Okay, now I know what I need to deliver and how I need to approach it. Starting to filter down. Okay, this is clear. Okay, so now we've got 3 clear categories. Each category has one and only one very clear item on the dice roll. If I've done this effectively, I am now in a position to take the next step and roll this bad boy, which we're going to be talking about in the next video. But before we do, let's cut the BS. There are a lot of people that try to game this, and especially the people that need this the most. In our category, right, we've got the Somatic Skins Quiz, and the Somatic Skins is a framework of performance and somatic orientation. People that fall into the category of shapeshifter are particularly vulnerable to this problem because they perceive a lot of options and they're adaptable and they have a hard time being committal when things are not crystal clear. It's a difficult orientation, but it's somatically dictated. We cover this too within the Prestige. People within this category tend to get stuck and be overwhelmed by the options quite a bit. And they tend to make one key mistake, which is when they've got these categories and they're filtering down to the specific actions, they make, this is, oh my God, so many of them do this. I need to create more space so that I can do something that's meaningful. No, you fucking don't. You don't need more space. You need to focus on meaningful action and put something at stake. This is what takes you from uncertainty into meaningful, committed action over time. The other one, and this is a subtle detail, but it's avoidant behavior. I'm not actually pinpointing the thing that matters. I'm identifying that, well, maybe I'm not doing that thing because I feel like I'm busy. So my first step is to feel less busy or to create space on the calendar for meaningful action. But you're not defining what's meaningful. You're not putting that on the dice roll. You're just saying, I need to create less space. I need to be on social media less. I need to watch less TV. I need to schedule open space to think. No, you do. No, you do not. This is retarded. Don't do this, okay? Whether it's with the dice or something else, your schedule will reorient when you identify something worth fighting for. Meaningful action creates your calendar. Creating space creates more lethargy and confusion. It's not the next step. But trust me on this, we can make massive leaps if you just identify meaning and then take actionable steps. So, I've covered the filter, how you can approach it yourself, make a list, do those things, download the document, it'll do it for you. Super convenient. But the next step is going to be the role. The following step after that is going to be the execution, and the step after that is going to be what I'm calling the initiation, but which you can consider as a penalty. Each one of these stages is critical. The filter, the role, the execution, and the penalty or initiation. Without each of these stages, this process will devolve into something ineffective. With all four of these, you will find a focus and a way of engaging in your life that you cannot even imagine. If this is new to you, give yourself time to feel it out, be very strict on the penalties, but if you really want to harness the power of this, you got to come to somebody with some experience. That's only within the Prestige. So reach out to us if you can see the potential in this for yourself and you're not quite sure how to activate it. Now, moving into the next video, you will find the role on this side of me. And you will find, if you're curious about our deeper model and how we approach embodiment and the somatic power of the Prestige, you can look at this side for my masterclass on somatic embodiment. It's pretty awesome. See you in the next video.